Scott Peterson, he wrote a story called A Puppet Show. And I almost forgot to bring it to read to you. I printed all the rest of the material for the show out and set it up, and then I lay down to take a nap before I started the show, which is always a good idea because, I'm here so late. Good idea if I'm well rested just before I start. And in the middle of falling asleep, I realized that I had brought that material on the thumb drive to the computer that has the printer in it, or attached to it anyway, Juanita's computer. And I forgot to incorporate that text into the show. And so I got up and turned that computer back on and found the file and printed it out. So I hope you're happy. See what I do for you? Scott M. Peterson wrote a piece called A Puppet Show as follows. The fix was in 3 years ago, plain as day, for the whole world to see, at an obscure website called Cryptome, where an article titled Guccifer, Guccifer, not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but Guccifer hacks Bush family contact list appeared. It was a hyperlink connected to something that looked like the real McCoy. Only one of 2 postings that day, so what the hell? I downloaded it. Then I emailed a copy of that hyperlink to a couple of other journalists, along with the email addresses of W and his mommy, stashing the PDF after scrubbing it, just in case it turned out to be genuine. Well, it was. It was. Guccifer was a Romanian hacker named Marcel Lazar. He got arrested a few months later by Romanian authorities, then extradited to the United States for, get this, hacking the Bush family contact list. In May of 2016, Lazar pled guilty to it, putting it all over the news 4 months later. So I went back to Cryptome, and sure enough, the hyperlink had been removed, and so had the PDF file. According to an article at LeakSource, Cryptome got a little visit from the U.S. Secret Service after posting that article, so Cryptome took it down. But then LeakSource published it, promising that it will not be removed ever. Long before WikiLeaks broke the story about Hillary Clinton's server being attacked, Cryptome had reported it through Guccifer/Lazar. He later confirmed that, telling NBC News that her server was like an open orchid on the Internet, and that others had been there before him, as many as 10, according to an interview with U.S. News, adding that he was able to infiltrate her private server repeatedly and easily, leading this reporter to a disturbing thought that more skillful hackers had gotten in before him and then left the door open, much like burglars do after robbing a house. The number one suspect is an organization called Fancy Bear, also known as APT-28, which stands for Advanced Persistent Threat, something that's been repeatedly associated with Russian intelligence, the GRU. Fancy Bear has been around since 2007. In October of 2016, BuzzFeed reported a White House statement that Fancy Bear was receiving its orders from the highest levels of the Russian government, and their actions, quote, are intended to interfere with the U.S. election process, which, if true, would undoubtedly be directed at U.S. voting machines on Election Day. It's pretty darned easy to hack a voting machine. Last April, a pair of Princeton graduates showed that it can be done in less than a minute. That's with voting machines currently in use, and once it's done, the hack can infect an entire network of voting machines in, say, Pennsylvania, one of Donald Trump's battleground states. Jesse Tendler was a regional coordinator for a 2004 recount of 10 different counties. Not only was there a discrepancy between the hand recount and the original certified vote, Tendler said, in most cases there was a discrepancy between the hand recount and the machine recount, adding that it happened in every precinct and every county. The voting machines seemed to be adding a small but significant number of votes each time. According to Tendler, those differences were absolutely meaningful and could change the outcome of any election. That happened in Ohio, which was another of Trump's battleground states. The smoking gun for me had nothing to do with politics, but gambling. For the past few months, I'd been keeping my eye on a website called electionbettingodds.com. That's based on 15 different European odds makers, where gamblers put their money on the race. Trump was a 60-point underdog right up until the election. If you don't think this election was hacked, just look at the chart. It'll blow your mind. Trump and Lazar aren't the only puppets here. They're joined by Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko. He was described in WikiLeaks documents by a U.S. embassy official as, quote, our Ukraine insider a few years ago, and somebody Putin wanted control of, and now he's got it. I thought that a Ukrainian-U.S. military connection was far-fetched until I got an email from Captain Will Martin this afternoon. He's the Deputy Director of Public Affairs for the California Military Department. Martin informed me that the commander of Ukraine's National Guard is now, quote, in California, touring our sites and attending briefings, demonstrations, disaster response exercises, etc., less than 2 days after our rigged election. And according to a press release with today's date on it, the U.S. military is in the Ukraine, too, advising Ukrainian soldiers in live fire exercises. What could possibly go wrong? At least Russian intelligence has a sense of humor. Fancy Bear has another cute nickname. It's called Pawn Storm. Well played, Vlad. Well played. And that was called A Puppet Show by Scott M. Peterson.